A gentle breeze caressed the bamboo grove as Buddha walked, his saffron robes glowing in the morning light. Birds sang softly, their melodies blending harmoniously with the rustling leaves. Nearby, disciples gathered to listen, their eyes filled with reverence. One disciple stepped forward, his expression weary and conflicted. "Master," he began, "I struggle with a new phenomenon gripping the kingdom. It distracts me from meditation and inner peace." The Buddha paused, his gaze serene and penetrating. "Speak, my son," he said. "What troubles you so deeply that it disrupts your mindfulness?" The disciple lowered his eyes, ashamed. "It is a web of connections, Master, spread across the kingdom. It promises knowledge but delivers restlessness." The Buddha nodded, his face calm yet contemplative. "Tell me, how does this web capture the hearts and minds of so many, including yourself?" "It is vast," the disciple explained, "filled with endless wonders, conversations, and distractions. Yet, it leaves me empty and yearning." Buddha turned to the gathered disciples, his voice resonant. "This web you speak of is neither virtuous nor wicked. It is your attachment that causes suffering." He gestured toward a spider spinning its web nearby. "See the spider. It weaves its web not out of desire, but out of necessity and purpose." The disciples observed the spider, its movements deliberate and focused. The lesson began to seep into their understanding. Technology, like this web, can be a tool for survival, Buddha continued. Yet, when misused, it becomes a trap for the unwary. He began walking, his steps slow and deliberate. The disciples followed, eager to grasp the full measure of his wisdom. "Imagine a man standing by a river," Buddha said, his voice even and serene. "He is thirsty, yet fears drowning." The disciples nodded, their faces marked with recognition and curiosity. They listened intently, hanging on every word. "The river can quench his thirst," Buddha explained. "But if he dives recklessly, he risks being swept away by its currents." One disciple raised his hand timidly. "Master, how do we partake of the river's water without falling victim to its dangers?" Buddha smiled gently. "By understanding its nature and using it with mindfulness. Approach the river with reverence and clarity of intent." He stopped beneath a Bodhi tree and sat cross-legged, inviting his disciples to join him. They formed a semicircle, listening intently. In the same way, Buddha continued, "Engage with technology like you would the river. Use it, but do not be used by it." The morning sun filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground. The scene exuded calm and wisdom. Attachment to technology creates a thirst that cannot be quenched, Buddha said. It becomes a craving, leading to suffering and discontent. He looked at each disciple, his gaze penetrating yet compassionate. "The path to liberation lies in awareness and balance." A bird fluttered overhead, drawing attention to the boundless sky. Just as the bird requires air to fly, humans require tools to thrive, Buddha said. Yet, he added, the bird does not cling to the air. It uses it without attachment, soaring freely and joyfully. The disciples pondered his words, their hearts moved by the clarity and depth of his teachings. Silence enveloped them. "Consider the spider again," Buddha said. "It rests in the center of its web, aware of every strand and vibration. Be like the spider," he urged. "Stay centered and alert. Use the web of technology with intention, not as a master." Next, Buddha continued, "Approach each knot with care, one at a time, without haste or frustration clouding your vision." The disciples who accompanied Buddha observed his actions closely, their eyes widening with the simplicity yet depth of his lesson. "Observe your entanglement, and gently loosen each strand with mindfulness and patience." He took a small twig and drew lines in the soil, creating a simple diagram. The disciples leaned closer, eager to learn. Here, Buddha said, are the steps to conscious use. First, discern necessity from excess. Ask, does this serve my highest purpose? The disciples nodded, their faces marked with determination. The lesson felt practical, as though it addressed their deepest concerns. Second, he continued, allocate time mindfully. Set boundaries, just as a potter shapes clay within the confines of a wheel. Third, Buddha added, balance time with silence. As music emerges from silence, wisdom emerges from moments of reflection. He gestured to the bamboo grove around them. Nature thrives in balance. Overuse depletes, mindful use rejuvenates. Let this be your guiding principle. The disciples absorbed his words, their minds opening to new possibilities. They felt both humbled and inspired by the teaching. Lastly, Buddha concluded, remember that liberation comes not from avoidance, but from mastery. Engage without attachment. Use without dependence. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves, echoing the wisdom of his words. It was as though nature itself affirmed the teachings. The weary disciple who had spoken earlier bowed deeply. Master, your words have cleared the fog from my mind. I feel hope once again. Buddha smiled warmly. The journey to mindfulness is continuous, my son. Return to the path whenever you stray. This is the way. The disciples chanted a prayer of gratitude, their voices melding harmoniously with the natural sounds of the grove. The moment felt sacred. As the day unfolded, the teachings resonated deeply within their hearts. They vowed to live by the principles of balance and mindfulness. Buddha rose, his movements deliberate and calm. Remember, he said, the web is a tool, not a prison. Walk the path wisely. With those final words, he turned and walked away, his silhouette blending into the golden light of the rising sun. Another day, another moment of serenity in the tranquil bamboo grove. Buddha sat beneath the ancient Bodhi tree. Disciples gathered around him, their faces serene yet curious, awaiting the wisdom he would share. A distant sound disturbed the stillness, faint yet persistent, like whispers carried by the wind. One disciple frowned. Master, he asked, what is that sound? It pulls my attention away from your presence. Buddha opened his eyes, his gaze calm and measured. It is the signal of the world, seeking your focus and energy. The disciples looked around, confusion etched on their faces. One young monk asked, Master, how can we remain present amidst the world's constant calls for our attention? Buddha rose, his movements deliberate and composed. He gestured toward the path leading to the river. Come with me, he said, his voice gentle yet commanding. The disciples followed, the sound growing louder as they approached the riverbank. A small device lay there, glowing faintly. This device, Buddha said, is a reflection of the human mind's creations. It carries voices, images, and endless possibilities. The young disciple who had spoken earlier stared at it, intrigued yet hesitant. Master, how does one interact with such a creation without losing oneself? Buddha picked up the device, holding it aloft for all to see. It is not the device that holds power, but the mind that engages with it. He placed the device on a smooth rock and knelt beside it. The disciples formed a circle around him, their curiosity growing. Observe, Buddha said, his voice steady. This device speaks when summoned, but it does not act without intention. It is silent now. The disciples watched intently, their minds grappling with the significance of his words. Silence enveloped the grove once more. Consider the river, Buddha continued, his tone reflective. It flows endlessly, carrying messages from distant lands. Yet, it does not intrude upon silence. He looked at each disciple, his gaze filled with compassion. The river and this device are alike, tools for connection and learning. A bird sang in the distance, its melody resonating through the grove. Buddha paused, letting the sound sink into their awareness. Yet, Buddha said, if one becomes consumed by the river's flow, they forget the stillness of the shore where wisdom resides. The disciples nodded, their hearts beginning to grasp the deeper truth behind his analogy. The sound of the device faded into the background. Balance is the key, Buddha said. Embrace the signal, but do not abandon the silence that nurtures inner clarity and peace. A disciple raised his hand, his expression earnest. Master, how do we cultivate this balance between signal and silence? Buddha smiled softly, his face a mirror of understanding. Begin with intention. Ask yourself, why do I engage with this tool? He placed a pebble on the device, its surface now obscured. This pebble represents mindfulness, a shield against distractions that scatter the mind. The disciples observed the pebble, its simplicity stark against the glow of the device. The lesson deepened their understanding. Next, Buddha said, allocate moments of silence. Just as a farmer rests between planting, let your mind rest between engagements. He drew a line in the soil, separating two spaces. This line is the boundary. Create boundaries to protect your mind's stillness. The disciples bowed their heads, reverence evident in their posture. They felt the weight of the teachings settle in their hearts. Finally, Buddha said, use the tool to uplift others, not merely to indulge yourself. Let it serve a higher purpose. The young monk who had first spoken looked up, his eyes bright with realization. Master, does this mean the device can be a path to enlightenment? Buddha nodded, his expression contemplative. Anything can be a path, if approached with wisdom and intention. Even this device carries potential. He placed the device back on the smooth rock and stood, his movements fluid and graceful. The disciples rose with him. Remember, Buddha said, it is not the tool that defines you, but the mindfulness with which you engage the world. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves, carrying his words like seeds on the wind. The disciples felt a sense of calm envelop them. The young monk stepped forward, his voice steady. Master, your words have shown me a way to be present amidst the signal and the silence. Buddha smiled warmly, his gaze filled with encouragement. The journey of balance is yours to walk. Return to the teachings whenever you feel lost. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude and resolve. They understood that the path lay within their grasp. Buddha turned toward the river, his silhouette blending with the horizon. The light of the setting sun bathed the scene in gold. The grove fell silent once more, a sacred stillness that echoed the lessons shared that day. The moment felt eternal. The disciples lingered, their minds and hearts aligned with the wisdom imparted to them. They vowed to live by its principles. Buddha's footsteps faded into the distance, leaving behind a profound sense of peace and purpose. The disciples sat in quiet reflection, as stars emerged to adorn the night sky. The teachings resonated deeply within their souls. They cherished the balance between signal and silence. The device remained on the smooth rock, a symbol of potential and mindfulness. The disciples regarded it with newfound understanding. The sound of the river flowed gently, a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. The lesson had been learned. Buddha's words lingered in the air, timeless and universal. The disciples carried them forward, determined to embody the path of balance. Another day, another gathering of disciples under the shade of ancient trees, their faces reflecting curiosity and quiet anticipation. A merchant approached the Buddha, his demeanor respectful yet troubled, clutching a gilded device close to his chest. Master, he began, bowing deeply, I bring you a device that has divided my family, sowing discord instead of harmony. Buddha's gaze softened, his eyes filled with compassion. Turn your attention inward, the Buddha instructed. Observe the thoughts that arise, like clouds passing across an open sky. His hands trembled as he continued. Others refused to use it, shunning its presence as though it were cursed. Buddha listened intently, his expression serene yet contemplative. This division arises not from the device itself, but from the extremes in its use and rejection, he said. The merchant lowered his gaze, shame coloring his features. I fear it has brought imbalance and chaos, robbing us of shared moments and understanding. Buddha rose, his movements fluid and deliberate. He gestured toward the garden, inviting the merchant and disciples to walk with him. As they walked, the sunlight dappled the path, creating patterns of light and shadow. Buddha spoke, his voice steady. Consider the mango tree, Buddha said, pointing to its lush canopy. Its fruit can nourish the body, yet excess consumption causes sickness. The disciples and merchant observed the tree, their hearts opening to the analogy. The lesson began to take root. The device, Buddha continued, is like the mango. It offers knowledge and connection, yet imbalance in its use leads to division. He reached for a ripe mango, holding it in his hand. This mango represents all tools, neither inherently good nor evil. The merchant watched as Buddha sliced the mango, offering pieces to the disciples. Use it mindfully, he instructed, not in excess, nor in denial. The disciples ate the fruit with reverence, its sweetness a reminder of harmony. They understood the importance of balance. Buddha turned to the merchant, his voice gentle yet firm. Teach your family the middle path, the way of moderation and intention. The merchant nodded, his expression thoughtful. Master, how do I guide my family to embrace this path amidst their differences? Buddha paused, considering the question. Begin by cultivating understanding. Listen to each perspective, without judgment or prejudice. He stopped beside a flowering bush, its blossoms vibrant and fragrant. Just as every flower contributes to the garden's beauty, every voice enriches unity. The merchant sighed, his shoulders relaxing slightly. But what if they cannot find common ground? How do I bridge this divide? Buddha knelt beside the bush, plucking a single blossom. Unity begins with compassion, the willingness to see through another's eyes and heart. He placed the blossom in the merchant's hand. Guide them to engage with the device as a servant, not a master. The disciples nodded, their minds and hearts aligned with the wisdom shared. They felt a sense of clarity and purpose. Teach them to use the device for collective well-being, not merely personal indulgence, Buddha said, his tone resolute yet kind. He drew circles in the soil with a small twig, creating an interconnected pattern. Let the device be a means of sharing, not isolation. The merchant studied the pattern, his mind racing with possibilities. Master, your words have illuminated a path I can follow. Buddha smiled gently. A path illuminated by wisdom becomes a path toward harmony. Walk it with patience and intention. He rose, the twig still in his hand. Show your family the essence of togetherness, using the device to strengthen bonds, not weaken them. The merchant bowed deeply, gratitude and resolve evident in his posture. Your guidance is a gift, Master. I will strive to embody it. The disciples chanted softly, their voices melding harmoniously with the natural sounds of the grove. The moment felt sacred. Buddha turned to the merchant, his expression serene. Remember, moderation is not avoidance. It is the art of balance and mindful engagement. The merchant's heart swelled with determination. He understood the value of compromise and the power of shared understanding. As the day unfolded, the teachings resonated deeply within their hearts. They vowed to live by the principles of harmony. Buddha's footsteps blended with the garden's beauty, leaving behind an aura of tranquility and purpose. The disciples sat in quiet reflection. The merchant held the device close, not with attachment, but with newfound respect. It symbolized potential, not division. The grove fell silent once more, a sacred stillness that echoed the lessons shared that day. The moment felt eternal, as stars emerged to adorn the night sky. The teachings resonated deeply within their souls. They cherished the path of unity. Buddha's words lingered in the air. Timeless and universal, the disciples carried them forward, determined to embody the middle path. The merchant returned to his family, his heart filled with clarity and wisdom. His household found a renewed sense of balance. The device became a tool of connection and learning, not a source of discord. It served its purpose. Guided by intention, the teachings of Buddha carried through generations, offering timeless wisdom on finding balance in a world of endless innovation. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.